Welcome to Rockstars Uncensored on URL Radio. I am Laura Hargrove. Big thanks to our official sponsor, Big Willie's on the Strip in Mandan. On the phone with me today is Troy Patrick Farrell from White Lion and Pretty Boy Floyd, and he was also with John Karabi.
I think you got all that right.
Are you there, Troy?
Absolutely, I'm here. It sounds like somebody fell back there in your studio. That's awesome.
Yeah, the microphone just fell. Good Lord. I can't hear him. I can't hear him. Troy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, there we are. The whole microphone just fell. Too many Wheaties. Okay.
Well, hey, we're starting this off with a bang.
Yeah, we are. Nothing's going right today at all. Okay, Troy. When did you decide that you wanted to be a drummer, and why did you pick the drums instead of one of the other instruments?
Can't we talk about my arrest and my obsession for hookers first? I mean, really?
Sure.
Nobody cares about this. I started playing drums when I was 12, a few years ago, right? And it was my first Dio concert. Really, that was what got me turned on to drums. My brother was a bass player. My oldest brother Sean, and my other brother Scott played guitar. And so when I went to the Dio concert, I was naturally just attracted to the drums. Vinny Appice just killing it back there, and so that was when I came home and asked my mom to get a drum set. And now I live in Los Angeles and scraping a living by playing music.
Scraping a living with?
Well, I'm drinking Miller Genuine Draft in a can. If that tells you anything.
Well, it could be Olympia.
That's true, but you know what? If I can get an 18-pack for the same price as a 12, I'm all about it.
I'm the same way. I'll take the 16 ounces, like the pounders over the 12, because you're actually, think about it, you get more beer and it's only like $1 more.
That you're quite the consumer.
I am.
I'm the same way with toilet paper too. You got to look at the square footage. You can't just buy, because you're getting 16 rolls. And are you getting 2-ply or 1-ply?
Right.
Definitely check the square footage of that toilet paper.
So you're picky about your butt wipe.
Absolutely. As many times as I get my ass wiped a day, you gotta have fresh, soft toilet paper. 2-ply, of course.
2-ply, yes. Otherwise, your finger breaks through, and that's never a good idea.
That's a whole nother interview.
That'll be for a couple months down the road when we have you back on.
Okay. All
right, Troy. Tell me a little bit. Now, you were in Pretty Boy Floyd first?
I played with Floyd for a couple years. I stopped playing with them in September of 2010.
And what kind of lifestyle did you live when you were with Pretty Boy Floyd? If I came through your tour bus, front to back, what kind of things would I see or find?
Well, in Pretty Boy Floyd, we were never in a tour bus.
Did you go van style?
We might have been in a minivan. So you'd see a bag of Cheetos and Steve Summers with a cap over his eyes trying to sleep, and Chris Six, the bass player, and I taking photos of those guys while they were sleeping and putting shit in their mouths and stuff. But no, we had a good time when we were out. We went to we saw the world. We went to Japan, we went to Australia, we went to Europe, England, did some shows in the States, Mexico. We went a lot of places together, and it was a good time. It was a good run. A couple of years I was with them. They were probably the most active they'd been in quite some time. So I don't know if I had anything to do with that. I just happened to maybe join the band at the right time when they were getting ready to do some damage. So we had a good time.
Well, it must have been you.
Well, I don't know. I think maybe just the timing was right.
I'm just going to have your...
Listen, I'll certainly take credit when I can.
Okay. Well, that works for me. Now,
That's a lot of dead air there, Laura.
yeah, I'm drawing a complete blank.
Let me ask you a question, Troy.
Sure.
This is Stacy back on the phone with you. Do you remember your first audition when you were trying to get into a bigger band? What is that even like? Were you nervous for trying to get into like Pretty Boy Floyd, or is it just one of those things where they're like, hey, let's grab a beer and talk?
Well, with Floyd, it was kind of like that. I had some business dealings with Christy Majors. He actually runs an agency here in Los Angeles, and White Lion had been booked on some tours. And before I knew Christy was Chris over at the agency, we had some words with each other over emails and stuff. It was just about business because I do a lot of the business, at least in the States, for White Lion. So I was the one on the other end of the email with the agency, and we had some back and forth. And then, when we realized who we were, we ended up meeting up one day. I saw him outside of the Key Club in Los Angeles, and we just kind of talked, and he just happened to kind of, get things together with Steve and myself. We saw each other. It was kind of like, all right, are we going to be dicks to each other? We're going to be cool. And it turned out being cool to each other. And it was like, hey, man, we're thinking about doing some shows. Would you like to come down and play? And that was it. It wasn't really an audition. It was very casual, and we had gotten over the business history that we had together, which wasn't so good. But, so that was really cool. And he and I, became pretty good friends, brothers. And, we don't talk so much these days, but that's what happens when you move on to different bands. Your focus goes on to other things. And, sometimes you find people that you play with that you just will always be friends with, and others are just people that were there for that snapshot of time. And but those guys are cool guys, and they're out there still playing and rocking, and it's all good. I did audition for this is like a real audition, but the thing was, I wasn't nervous because I didn't know who it was, but I auditioned twice for Alanis Morissette back before.
Really? That would have.
Yeah, it was a cattle call. This guy that used to run the Coconut Teaser, which was an old club back in L.A., Len Fagan, he loved the way I played. He was super cool. I played there with a couple different bands. And he's like, hey, my buddy Barry Squire, who signed Green Day, he used to be over at Columbia. Barry Squire is now kind of like one of the guys that puts all the bands together. You sit there and wonder, how does Kelly Clarkson get her band? How does Korn find a drummer? It's Barry Squire. He's these guys that he's got a list of great guys, and when somebody's looking for a drummer or a guitar player or whatever, he knows the right guy to send. So Barry Squire, was holding these auditions, and I showed up there. And I got Alanis Morissette. I still have Alanis Morissette's cassette without her singing on it, and then with her singing on it. And my whole thing was I was in a band at that time, and so I thought I was going to give my demo tape to Barry Squire and get our band signed, but I would just have to show up at the audition, to do it. Right, so I kind of learned the songs. I went in there, and I kind of half-assed it. And I got a call back. I'm leaving, going to my car. I'm like, hey, man, I gave the package to Barry. That's awesome. Well, Barry follows me outside. He's like, hey, man, we're doing another audition tomorrow. I need you to come back. You did great. And I'm like, wow, I wasn't really auditioning for the band. I was just, Next thing you know, Alanis Morissette sold like 1 billion albums.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about her 10 years later. So.
Oh yeah, Jagged Little Pill was one of the top selling records of the 90s.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's my brush with fame before I knew it was gonna be. But no, I mean, of course, you get sometimes nervous at auditions. You wanna be the person that you think they're looking for, and I think that's always a mistake. I think you just got to go in there and do your thing, and if you're right for it, you are. If you're not, then you're not. But if you're trying to be somebody that you think they are, you're usually off the mark, and usually you're better off just being yourself.
Well, that, and they're going to find out the true you in time to come anyway.
Yeah, they're going to find out that I bathe my sponges in my private
Yes, what is with your sponges?
It was just a play on words. I don't really bathe my sponges.
Are you sure?
They bathe me.
So, okay, how many times have you been arrested?
How many times have I been arrested?
Yes.
Well, does the time in, God, what, 87?
Yes, misdemeanors count. Yeah.
It could, okay, yeah, when I actually stole a Bon Jovi cassette from Venture. I did shoplift.
It's priceless.
And, you know, the sucky part was it wasn't my idea. It was my friends from school. And so we
Sure
all
it
went
was.
into
Blame
venture.
it on them, Troy.
Well, here's the thing. It was their idea. So I was the only one that actually did it, though. Everybody else put the cassettes back. And I'm
You were
the
the
idiot that walked out
scapegoat.
with Bon Jovi cassette.
Because you said something about a hooker, so I wanted to see if you were going to get to that. Were you really,
no.
honestly,
Will that be an
caught with a
uncensored
hooker?
story?
No, I wish I was smart enough to get hookers. I mean, ultimately, I don't pay for sex like, you know, like as a consumer, but ultimately you end up paying for sex. I mean, with the movies and
The dinner.
the dinner and all that stuff.
Yep.
You know,
That
And
it
like,
is.
you know,
It is like legal prostitution. I mean, if you really think about it, it is.
I mean, pretty much. You know, pretty much.
I love how you said, I wish I was smart enough to get a hooker. Like, only intelligent people go that route.
I mean, I think so, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
So here's your question. So does that automatically make me and Laura hookers? Because we've enjoyed dinner and movies.
And still got laid. So, am I a hooker?
ladies, those are your words, not mine.
This interview today is over now, officially, with Troy. Oh, jeez.
Okay. Okay. Give me a little bit of White Lion. Now, Mike Tramp is still the singer, correct?
Uh-huh.
I just love his voice. I've
He's
always
great.
been a White Lion fan. I have 2 cassette tapes that still play and a CD. I have Pride
CD.
Big
CD,
Game.
Welcome to 2000.
and Main Attraction.
Okay, right on.
Too bad you weren't here to sign them for me. Do you
Well,
guys?
I would sign like the Return of the Pride one or like some of the live stuff. I think you should save those for the classic guys, you know, the classic lineup. Those guys are still, well, except for Vito. He's not very public and active, but like Lamenzo's out playing with Dio Disciples, and, you know, he's been very, very busy since White Lion. And Greg D'Angelo, I think, just started getting back into playing recently with Piercy last year, but he's got, I thought he had a recording studio, but he's doing some movie scores and stuff like that. I actually just saw Greg D'Angelo, the classic lineup drummer, a couple months ago at the Sabian Cymbal Party. So some of those guys are still active and staying busy.
So who was? Well, I guess maybe it wouldn't be an appropriate question. I was
Then
gonna.
you should definitely ask it.
This is uncensored on our parts, too, I guess.
Which band did you actually enjoy sharing the stage with the most?
Well, I've had the most fun playing, you know, with Mike Tramp and White Lion. We've been everywhere together, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I would say that. I mean, certainly I've had some great moments with you know, other players that I played with, but, you know, playing in Floyd, you know, even though I was there for a couple of years, I never really felt like it was my band or, you know, I was a band member, even though I was treated that way, and I certainly treated the band that way. And I never phoned it in. I never acted like a hired gun, and I certainly never acted like I don't care if, you know, 2 guys were upset with each other or, you know, I cared about the business. I took over booking that band in the years that I was with them, and, you know, they treated me, like I said, like a band member, but I never really felt like I was a pretty boy. I felt like I was just another guy in the band, and eventually I'd get replaced, and that's what happened, you know. You know, but White Lion, I'd say, you know, I mean, I've been with Mike Tramp since 2001. We're going on 11 years as you know, together, you know, because I played in a solo band. That's when I first met Mike. I did a solo tour with him back in 2001, and I've been with him ever since. And, you know, although we're not currently active, you know, we always stay in touch. You know, we exchange emails all the time, and we're talking about booking some dates this year and playing together again, you know. So I'd say with all the experiences that I've had and being on stage and, you know, playing in India in front of 42,000 people for 2.5 hours, that was with White Lion and Mike Tramp and those guys, and that would be probably the most fun. And, you know, that's kind of a band, you know, like when people go, hey, what band are you in? I don't say, well, I'm in 10 bands. I say, you know, I play drums for White Lion. That's my band, you know. And they go, oh, I've seen you somewhere else. And I'll say, oh, well, I played with John Corabi or Gino's Jezebel, Gilby Clarke, you know, whoever I've been fortunate enough to play with.
Well, makes you do you think that makes you a better drummer?
What's that, playing
With different
bands?
bands, yes.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and it also it starts giving you a reputation that, well, some people go, well, you're a drum whore or whatever. But if you think about it, especially musicians and songwriters and singers, generally with artists and stuff like that, we can be a little wacky. I'm not really an artist. I'm more of I kind of consider myself kind of like a laborer, a drummer. I pound nails, and it's the guys that draw the blueprints or the singers, the songwriters. Those guys are the ones that are the creative, kind of wacky ones. And to know that I can play with, 10 or 15 different bands and all those different personalities and slightly different styles, and everybody does business a different way, and to know that I can sort of mold myself into that situation and get along with it, I think it shows a lot of strengths, saying, wow, this guy plays with this guy and plays with that guy. That's pretty cool, and so I like to just roll with the punches when I can, and I think that makes you a better musician, and it kind of makes you better. Am I the best drummer? Is that why I'm playing with all these guys? Because I'm like totally awesome drummer? Not necessarily, but I'm a pretty good package, because I can bring a lot to the table.
Yes, you are.
Business-wise, booking, whatever it is. And I think that makes you a strong musician. And, some people always go, hey, what's it take to do what you do? And it's like, don't just learn drums. Learn the business, It's number one, so you're not getting dicked. But also know it because, if you can bring something to the table that somebody else can't, they'll sit there and go, God, this drummer is really, really good, but this other guy's also good. But, man, the guy, knows whatever. He can book shows. He can, route a tour. He can put a budget together. He can call the bus guy and get us a killer deal. All that stuff matters.
Sure does. I mean, people think that you guys just, play your instruments and write music. And that's a total misconception. I mean, there's a lot of almost politics involved with music.
Well, absolutely. And in this day and age, music has changed so much from what it was, where bands would just have management and they would just know what gig to show up to and where to go afterward, and that was it. A lot of artists are self-booking themselves. They're self-managing, know. They're the ones that are advancing shows because, you're either paying somebody else 10% to not do it right, or you end up doing it yourself anyway, but you're shelling out 10% to pay somebody else to do it, and they're not doing it right. You might as well be on top of it yourself. You got to watch every dollar. It's getting tougher and tougher to tour, and so people are becoming more involved in their careers and their music because number one, they're saving some money, and number two, they know how things are being done.
Right. I mean, as you were saying before that, does it make, to me, if you can go and play with different varieties of bands, different kinds of music, that to me shows talent. I mean, you obviously have enough talent if people keep wanting for you to be in their band.
I hope so. I certainly hope so. Like I said, whenever I get involved in anything, even if I'm just, hired for a gig, and it's a bad habit, I tend to get a little too involved in offering everything that I can do. But it's just the way I like to do things. It's not that I need to it's not micromanaging so much as it is like, hey man, if you guys need a poster, I'll put something together. Whatever. It's just about helping out because no matter what you're doing, it's always good to take a little pride in it and make it the best thing you can.
I would agree with you completely. I think that it is a good time to take a break. And
awesome. I can open up another genuine draft.
You can, and drink one for me.
Sweet.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about uncensored stuff.
Awesome. Okay, we'll talk about that. We should also talk about White Lion on American Idol last night. I mean, that Colton Dixon kid sang "Broken Heart," which is what you opened the show with, and uncensored stuff. Awesome.
Yeah, and you're willing, right? Because I've had some issues with wanting some juice from people on there. Oh no, I can't talk about it, or I want I want to know. I want to know the dirt.
All right. Like I said, just lead me down the path. I'm a blabbermouth, so.
Fantastic. That makes two of us. All right, we are going to take a break right now. We will be back with Troy Patrick Farrell, and the song we are going to play is Battle of the Little Bighorn.